If the people here were our founding fathers, the Revolutionary War would have been delayed 10 years, because Stanley Washington was napping, and Phyllis Hancock was still signing the Declaration, and Kevin Jefferson was distracted by a butterfly.
My first ever episode breakdown for the Owl House, and what better episode to start on than the episode that properly introduces the Blight parents. I did not think I was going to like them this much. Alador's whole personality in particular really threw me off guard considering how he acted in Amity's flashback. Clearly being a male wife has drained a lot of his energy over time. Of course, per usual, I'm going to run through everything in this episode to go over details y'all might have missed, and if there's anything I missed, of course, let me know in the comments down below because I can be a blind idiot sometimes. The episode opens with a far view of Blight Industries with several green cloaked figures walking towards the main entrance. The smaller text below the logo states that Blight Industries is a subsidiary for the Abomination Coven, basically meaning they're a smaller company working for the higher-ups of the Abomination Coven, and that likely includes the leader himself, or themselves. And I guess the reason these people are wearing the robes is because this get-together is advertised as private. Ed and Em are serving as security and messing with people who walk through. I love how it says hex me instead of kick me, that's so perfect. The product show begins with Odalia and Alador removing their cloaks in a very epic manner to show off their full designs for the first time. Well, only Odalia did it epically, I guess. Odalia gives a brief rundown about how Blight Industries specializes in home security abominations and how Alador is the greatest abomination creator of the era before showing off their crowning achievement, the Abomination Soldier. No offense to Alador, but if he really is the best, how come he isn't the Abomination Coven leader? Granted, she probably just said that to get customers more eager to purchase the product. Amity is the one helping on stage to show off how great the thing is. Obviously, she's pretending to be weak to help sales. That is until a photo of her and her friends falls out of her pocket, and this photo in specific was the same one shown at the end of Enchanting Ground Fight for those who might have forgotten. Amity easily defeats this thing before it steps on the photo, costing her parents tons of money. But Odalia is able to notice why Amity's acting so weird after seeing the photo herself. Cut to Luz teaching Ida and Lilith about glyph magic. Of course, Lilith is acting like a major teacher's pet while Ida is carving at her desk not paying attention at all. Since Luz hasn't been able to find any new types of glyphs, she's set on teaching the sisters about altering glyphs to do specific things, by making glyph combinations. Ida tries experimenting with never before seen combos instead and wants to do even more after Luz leaves for school. Lilith's suggestion about memorization, repetition, and following the rules just turned her off even more. Look at her face here. Like the genuine shock of her cards getting knocked out of her head. It's just too perfect. Nice to see a heartwarming reunion between Luz, Gus, and Willow. This is the first time they've reunited since the petrification ceremony. Gus's balls dropped to hell though. Good lord. It's cool how instead of making his VA continue to speak with a higher voice, they aged up Gus's whole character to compensate for his voice actor going through puberty, so very cool. Amity walks in giving Luz a homemade fairy pie to celebrate her return to school, made with live fairies. Do fairies actually taste good or something? I'm kind of curious. You working! Right as Luz is looking forward to things going back to normal, Adalia's voice is heard talking through the school intercom, ordering Luz, Gus, Willow, and Amity to Principal Bump's office. Adalia lists off all the things the three of them have done wrong since coming into contact with Hexside and how it's affected the safety of the students at Hexside as well as Amity in particular. Obviously, she doesn't really care about that. She just wants Amity to put more energy into the family business. Alador then declares the three of them will be executed, or rather expelled, from Hexside. Am I missing something? But how does Bump have no say in the matter? You're the principal, dog. Do the Blight's high standing in the Abomination Coven just outweigh his word or something? Or does it have to do with the Parent Creature Association? It's gotta be one of those two things, if not both, right? It felt odd how he just folded so easily. Luz tries to defend herself through Amity, but since Amity is too scared of her parents, mainly her mother, she stays silent. The scene with Luz pleading to Amity while getting pulled out by Hexside security was really sad to watch, but scenes like these are what make the Owl House so great. You know, the family dynamics are handled so well in the show. As the Blights are walking out of the building, Luz confronts them for what they did, saying the whole expulsion was pointless because they're still going to be friends with Amity. Odalia kind of sees her point and suggests calling them during their business hours to talk it through some more. Meanwhile, Alador's sleep-deprived ass is chasing a butterfly in the background. Willow and Gus reject this offer for Luz, determined to figure out how to get back into school on their own. Back at the Owl House, Ida continues to experiment with glyph combination, but continues to fail at making anything of use. While by the books, Lilith is having a blast with her best friend Hootie. These two becoming closer last episode was one of the most wholesome and hilarious things I've seen in the show to date, and I'm glad it's continuing here. Cue the montage of the kids trying to get back into school and failing miserably. Poor Bump really doesn't want them out, as shown by his sad reactions to each of their attempts. And his reasoning for submitting to the Blights makes a little bit more sense now after seeing his little crying in this last clip of the montage, because he's a confirmed member of the Abomination Coven. If he didn't abide by their demands, he could have not only lost his job, but his position in the Coven as well, but they just didn't outright say that. I know I could have said this earlier, but I was too lazy to change the script. Gus and Willow's parents find out about their expulsion and ground them through the phone birds. Seems kind of harsh, don't you think, considering how their expulsion went down? Later, Luz notices Amity carrying her schoolwork, and Amity apologizes for saying nothing during the meeting. Luz understands that Amity's scared of her mom, but insists on Amity's help to fix things for the sake of Gus and Willow mainly. Amity still refuses, which leads to Luz taking matters into her own hands. We learn where the Blight Manor is located when Luz looks at the back of their business card on screen. If Bonesboro is located on the right arm, that means the Owl House is also located on the right arm, which is cool to think about. I don't think that's ever been confirmed yet. Ida now tries to combine the symbols of all the glyphs into one super glyph drawn onto a single sheet of paper. She thinks it's working at first until the thing starts increasing in size so severely it takes up most of the living room. Luz arrives at Blight Manor where a friendly Abomination butler greets her at the door. Their living room is very purple themed, like the Abomination Coven itself, pretty fitting. There's a few crystal balls in there too, likely for Odalia since she's an oracle or says she's an oracle. We also got a whole painting of the family above the fireplace, and notice how Amity is the only one who looks genuinely sad there. Luz lets herself into the basement where she sees Alador working on the next big creation while Odalia gives emotional support. I didn't really put two and two together until I saw him actually working on an Abomination, but Alador having that Dr. Frankenstein type fit is so perfect considering the coven he's a part of. Godlike design. Also, I might be wrong with the translation here, but there's some ancient runes on the basement wall of the Blight Manor that translates to seas, like the word seas, like the ocean. I'm going off this chart posted by a Reddit user named PK2317 about a year ago. Apparently the message from Separate Tides translated to the word seething, so far we got seething seas. Very curious to see what the full message will be. Are we not going to find out until the end of season 2? I wonder. Luz and Odalia come to an agreement that Luz will be the test subject for all the new Abominations they're going to show off at their next business show. Since these Abominations specialized in weaponized home security, Luz is being attacked by these things at all times. Back at Blight Manor, Amity returns home looking for her mom so they can start the show. She learns Luz took her place from her mother's note combined with the Abomination butler looking like a cat. At the park home, Willow's fathers dump some books on her desk letting her know they're going to quit their jobs to homeschool her. I'm sure the logo from the top book looks familiar to Amphibia fans. That's because it's none other than Hopadiah Planner, just with greened out eyes. After they leave, one of Gus's illusions gets Willow's attention outside to learn Luz is in trouble. It was so sweet how one of her fathers noticed Gus's illusion and let it slide. What a nice guy. Gus, Willow, and Amity gather outside Blight Industries trying to think of a way to save Luz. They're all in disagreement of how to go about it, so Ed and M break up the fight by giving them hooded disguises so they can just walk through. Not before putting some Hex Me signs on their backs, though. I've seen some people say the way Amity reacts to this prank at the end is a reference to Katara from Avatar The Last Airbender. She and Amity share the same voice actress, Mae Whitman, so if that was actually a reference to that scene, that's amazing. Once inside, we see Luz looking pretty rough after dealing with so many Abominations. The one with the crossbow pretty much had her beat if it wasn't for Odalia stopping the demonstration to unveil the last product of the night, the Abomination 2.0, which was the same one shown in the Season 2 trailer. That thing's outfit reminds me so much of Thanos from the Marvel Universe. Only thing it's missing is a gauntlet. Noticing how dangerous that thing could be, Amity runs up the catwalk to get ready to help Luz. Luz tries to get Odalia to call it off, which even Alador agrees with. However, Odalia is determined to let that thing eliminate Luz. Luz tries her best to fend this thing off with many different glyph techniques, but it's all for naught. It's just too strong. Right as it goes for the finishing blow, Amity's able to destroy its arms. She loves her so much. It's actually amazing. Cut back to the Owl House real quick, and Lilith hears the noises of Ida dealing with her glyph experiment from outside and worries. Ida shrugs it off though. That is until King gets sucked into it, so Lilith tries an experiment herself. I just loved the differing reactions between Amity's parents when they saw her defend Luz. Alador is shocked / proud of her strength, while Odalia is angry, ready to threaten punishment. That aside, this moment of Amity standing up to her mother was huge for her character. This was the woman who forced her to stop being friends with her best friend Willow at such a young age, which caused so much tension between them over the years, made her dye her hair to be color coordinated with her older siblings, and got her friends kicked out of school. Amity has really come a long way. She tells off her mom saying if she doesn't let her friends back into Hexside, she'll destroy the Abomination 2.0 in front of everyone. Odalia angrily agrees, which concludes the show with Amity and Luz getting fake smashed by the monster. But Odalia tries to go against her word, which pisses off Alador since Blights are always supposed to keep their ends of the deal. He also points out how much stronger their daughter has become, potential coven leader strong. I really can't get a full read on this guy, dude. He goes from being stern with his wife to chasing another bug with his goggles on in a matter of seconds. He's just such a doof. The Clawthorn sisters were able to solve the experiment problem, which leads to a really well said explanation to how glyphs work as well as glyph combos. Glyphs don't actually contain magic, but rather command magic from the environment around them, kind of like words. What Ida did was like writing 3 words on top of each other, which would look like mush, so the spell couldn't properly make some. You gotta space the symbols out to make it form a proper sentence. The Owl House has always done such an incredible job of explaining their power / societal systems, and this scene is further proof of that. Since so many different combos can be done with these 4 symbols, King wonders if the reason Luz wasn't able to find any more symbols is because there aren't any more to be found, which is probably correct. Luz arrives back home ready to sleep, but not before Lilith asks if she can get extra credit for the ice sculpture she made of her Luz. Lilith and her need to be validated by authority. I really hope that is explored in Keeping Up Appearances. Can't end a season 2 episode without some GG. He pulls up to Blight Industries to let the Blights know Emperor Bellows will be purchasing every single Abomination 2.0 instead of Boiling Isle citizens. Odalia says she's honored, but also looks scared at the same time. I guess Emperor Bellows can even scare someone like her. Gigi implies the reason Bellows bought these is to prevent the potential threat of the Blights making a private army with these abominations. He really will stop at nothing to stay in control. Even though young Golden Guard wasn't in this episode as much as the last one, I think I like this episode more. You know, seeing both Blight parents for the first time, watching how they act, amazing character growth for Amity, and some for Ida and Lilith too. This season is off to such a strong start in my opinion. Of course, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like down below. It helps me out a lot. But for now, I will see you guys next time. Peace out. Take care. Bye-bye.